Greetings, fellow travelers of the World Wide Web. I am the FedoraMask, and I am a big fan of animation, especially here on YouTube. It's pretty neat to see a living world crafted entirely from the imagination of someone creative enough to make it come to life. But let's face it, not everyone is cut out to build such worlds from the ground up. Now, if only there was some sort of template to put creative ideas into. That's where Minecraft comes in. I'm pretty sure I don't need to explain Minecraft to you, but what's important is that it could serve as a vehicle for animation. Think of it as a loaf of bread, carrying the meat and cheese of creativity, all while delivering its own blocky flavor. Sounds like a match made in heaven, right? Well, for the most part, you'd be right. Starting from humble beginnings of Will Craft's original Monster School, Minecraft animation has evolved in recent times to give us cinematic masterpieces from the likes of Square Media and Element Animation. We will not be talking about those. Instead, we'll be looking at a content farm, which is a channel on YouTube that prioritizes content output above all else. Creativity be damned. Unfortunately, Minecraft animation is a big commodity to content farms, as most of the heavy lifting can be done in-game. Then use Minimator to animate the characters for a bit, and boom! Instant content creation. Rinse and repeat. They also have a knack for roping in licensed characters, or ones kids are familiar with, to their nonsense. As you'll soon see. The farm in question is called THIS FNF. With a name like that, you'd expect it to primarily involve Friday Night Funkin'. But outside of maybe one tune used by the channel, FNF is nowhere to be seen. Instead, Sonic the Hedgehog and his friends are the main attractions of this farm for some reason. Not that you would get that from the channel's profile pic, as it's left blank. Classy. But at almost 100k subscribers, as of the writing for this video, and over 100 videos under the channel's belt, surely there must be something eye-catching about this. Ew, yikes. I know it may be a bit unorthodox to censor YouTube thumbnails, but I'd rather play it safe, as some commenters have received backlash from YouTube themselves for showing images like this. You know, despite them being on YouTube. But just in case you were curious about the main bulk of these thumbnails, it's Amy Rose with her butt out. Sometimes stuck in a hole, sometimes giant, sometimes with another portal right in the middle. Still need a visual? There, 2 pink spheres made in Minimator, and an enemy model to boot. You're welcome. Luckily, these thumbnails aren't indicative of anything in the actual videos, for the most part, but it is a strange way to advertise a video, right? Sad to say, this practice is all too common in the content farm space. My guess is that there is a wide appeal to a well-rounded derriere, particularly amongst kids and certain adults. Simply put, butts are funny to kids, and I should know being a 90s kid, where butt jokes were at their peak. Relatively harmless. At least as far as kids are aware. As for the adults who find joy in a blocky hedgehog's posterior, let's just say there are better websites to help scratch that itch. The titles of these videos are just as perplexing as the thumbnails, if not more so. Just check out a few of these. Sonic in love with Amy, but Sonic becomes robot? Sonic is in danger. Sonic baby, no way home. Mom and dad don't love me. Baby, please come back. Superhero Sonic family. Sonic will rescue the world. Hero, but no power. Daddy, please wake up. Sonic in danger? What happened? Yeah. What happened indeed. Needless to say, just like the thumbnails, these titles also have no bearing on the animated slop you're about to watch. Most likely, it's just a way to cram as many buzzwords to play into the algorithm. You might also have noticed that this channel uploads daily, and each video is about an hour long. How do they produce so much content so quickly? Well, the short answer is that they don't, but we'll get into that later. For now, let's finally take a peek at one of these videos to see if this Sonic Minecraft crossover is anywhere as good as the Bedrock one. Be warned though, these titles and thumbnails are pretty much the highlight of these videos, so if you want to call it quits here, I won't blame you. Every video is a collection of shorts that are usually less than a minute long, and almost every video opens with Sonic riding the content farm cash-in minecart, as well as the all-important subscribe button and notification bell. Also a zombie on a rocket. Not sure why it's there, but I think it's a nice touch. When the video starts proper, we are greeted with
Sonic, where did you go?
This happens with every first short of every video, and has no bearing on the short itself. Anyway, in this short, Steve gets overexcited over a hoe then starts farming. I wouldn't say farming is the most stimulating task in Minecraft, but to each their own. He then pulls out a carrot, which apparently opens a portal to bring Sonic and Amy into the world. Can we take a moment to talk about Amy's model for a second? Now, I'm not against making women characters more feminine, but I think this is a bit distracting if you ask me. I mean, Amy's dress doesn't even have that opening in actual Sonic games. Creative liberties, eh? So after entering this blocky world, they do a little dance, then start farming, I guess. Is Sonic planting fully grown melons from behind? And what is Amy doing in the back there? Then they dance on the melons, and that's where the short ends. What a great clip to start off this wild adventure of ours. They can only get better from here, right? Let's move on. Next up, Sonic and Amy are in a speeding car. Not sure why, because they're supposed to be pretty fast without the help of a vehicle. It might just be me, but I have a slight suspicion the maker of this channel isn't familiar with the Sonic series at all. Anyway, their speeding gets the attention of Officer Steve and the chase is on. I find it funny they just used the same car model for both cars. Then, for no reason, a portal appears and the cars drive right into it. Sonic and Amy find their car trashed, while Steve and his car are nowhere to be found. You know, despite going through the same portal. Sonic and Amy appear to be in a stadium with a group of piglins heading toward them. Looks like Sonic is gearing up for an attack. What's it gonna be? Spin dash? Homing attack? How about...
Wow.
Not quite how I thought it would play out. At least Amy seems impressed. Next. In this short, Sonic is hanging off a ledge. He lets go and begins to fall, fortunately in the sight of Tails. One thing I want to point out is Tails' body is a solid white. They seriously couldn't take the time to make him look better. It looks like he's wearing a large sleeveless shirt. Anyway, Tails flies down to carry Sonic to safety. It's funny to see how they animate Tails as flying, because they make his tails flap like bird wings, instead of rotating around like helicopter blades like they're supposed to. Amy sees the two, then drinks a potion. It makes her grow, then she catches the two. And that's it for this skit. The part with Amy seemed pretty pointless if you ask me. Next. This next one has Sonic and Tails play Squid Game's hopscotch. So they play the game. Tails saves Sonic but then falls into the abyss, despite being able to fly. You know, it just dawned on me that Tails being in this short completely nullifies it. Tails can fly, and carry Sonic while flying. It just makes no sense if you actually know and respect these characters. Also, the first glass panel they jumped on is gone for no reason. Sonic makes it through, but gets ambushed by the red light green light girl. I don't know why. Don't really care either. Next. Next up, Sonic is riding a minecart while Amy crosses the tracks. They collide. Eventually. And then both end up in the forest somehow. Amy becomes love-struck over Sonic and tries to grab him, I guess? Blech! I think we could all agree a face like this has no place in a YouTube video, especially one with characters aimed for kids. Anyways, Amy pounces on Sonic, then we get a repeat of the grabbing animation. That was uncomfortable. Next. Not much to say about this one. Sonic and Tails ride minecarts and do some tricks to one-up each other. That also includes creating a loop in the tracks somehow. Shortly after, the two soar into the skies with their carts. But then they break, leading them to fall to the ground, where they just lie there. Are they okay? Let's just say so. Next. This short is even less interesting. Sonic is sick and calls Amy for help. Amy comes in, gives him a potion, then follows that with a kiss. The only highlight here was the thermometer catching on fire then exploding. That's it. Next. This one is like the previous one, except Sonic is in the hospital. He meets up with a nurse, who awkwardly slides into the room with her arm clipping through the door. She gives him an injection, then kisses him. End of scene. This one is actually better than the other one, because the mobs in the waiting room were pretty entertaining. I especially liked the zombified piglin casually reading a book with a pickaxe lodged in their skull. Overall, this one is the best by far, but that's not a high bar. Next. Back to another forgettable skit. Sonic is doing some janky tricks on a wooden plane, and even gets on top of it, only to be driven off by Dr. Eggman, who takes control of the plane. Sonic comes back in a jetpack, yes, seriously, and takes back his plane. All seems well, but Eggman is seen still on the plane. Not that it matters, because the skit is over. Next. Another short one. Sonic stares at a large space shuttle, but Tails insists on a smaller one. Just take a listen to their witty banter.
No. Yes.
I really hope you like the Talking Ben dialogue, because it's used throughout these shorts. And quite frankly, I'm sick of them. Back to the short. Sonic goes out to explore the final frontier. Yeah, no joke. That's where the skit ends, with Sonic lost in space with no way to save himself. Kind of awful to do that to a beloved character, but this won't be the worst thing to happen to Sonic for the rest of these shorts. Don't worry, we'll get there. Next, we enter with Sonic pulling out the subscribe button and begs for it to be clicked. A human hand clicks it, then Sonic rewards the deed with a gift. The gift gets clicked, then Amy appears, and Sonic is love-struck. He tries to give Amy a gift, but she flees and Sonic gives chase. This is pretty odd, because the roles are supposed to be reversed, but whatever. The chase itself is pretty janky and uninteresting overall. Eventually, Sonic corners Amy, another gift gets clicked, revealing Tails, who carries Amy away. I gotta say, if all the crap we've seen so far hasn't got me subscribing yet, I'm sure considering it now. Let's continue to see if this channel will win that subscription in the end. I'm gonna group up the rest of the shorts since they share similarities. And by that I mean they rip each other off for the most part. You'll see what I mean. The first group I'd like to call comment bait, where they attempt to get the viewer to comment on their videos. And just by looking at the comment section, I don't think the audience is taking the bait. The first one of this group is set in a creepy looking mansion where Sonic wants to play 2 games of Test Your Sight to find Tails underneath 3 cups. After shuffling, we are given a prompt to write the answer in the comments, right before Sonic reveals where Tails is. The answers are middle and left, by the way. Sorry to spoil the fun for you. Next up, we are in a classroom full of mobs along with Tails, and Sonic at the teacher's desk. You'd think they're setting up for some kind of Monster Skull-esque skit, but no, they're just there for decoration. Instead, we're going to be playing word games. The first one is simple enough. Plenty of time to make that comment and back to see the answer. Not that it matters, since this is a video that can be paused at any time. But in the second round, we get this. Apparently you can get tomorrow from that mess. But I guess I don't have a high enough IQ for this content farm. And if you thought that was messy, check out the last question. Unlike the first 2 rounds, they don't give you the answer for this one. If you don't have the patience to cipher all this nonsense, don't worry, because I got you covered, fam. Ahem. A person without a sense of humor is like a wagon without springs. It's jolted by every pebble on the road. Henry Ward Beecher. How profound. But I don't think you should be calling your detractors springless wagons just because they don't find your crappy videos funny. The next 4 in the comment bait group are the same game. 3 doors with a character silhouette above each door. Guess the character in the comments, and the character is revealed. You know, it's actually kind of refreshing to see non-Sonic characters for a change. Like good old Mario. Bleh! Why does Mario look so weird? He doesn't have a mustache. The hat is wrong. Why does he have a chunk of flesh bouncing on his shoulder? It really shouldn't be hard to get a better looking Mario model. Speaking of janky models, let's take a better look at Eggman here. He is by far the worst looking character in the roster, having many of his details unaligned. They didn't even try with this one. I really hate how his glasses are off to the side, and made of jagged angles instead of circles. What a crazy design choice. 2 things left to point out. Skibidi Toilet's silhouette is just a toilet with no head. Also in the one where Tails is the last character, the short ends before his reveal. Just straight up moves on. I bet those comments are just pouring in. Alright, now we're getting into the hard stuff. This group I like to call Tied Up, because they involve characters being bound. Are you sure you're ready for this? Because things are going to get very heavy. On a Skywars map, Janky Eggman is hatching up a trap. Sonic is walking by until he spots a chained and distressed Knuckles. Sonic walks up to help the Echidna, very slowly, but steps on a pressure plate. He also gets chained, then starts running in place for some reason. Are you serious? Did we just watch Sonic the Hedgehog burn to death? That's the end of the short, by the way. It's just gonna leave at Sonic's skeletal remains. Imagine a kid who loves Sonic seeing this happen to their hero. It just leaves a bad taste in your mouth. I hope you're saddled up, because there's a few more like this to go. Next up, Janky Eggman has Sonic tied up and forces him to answer a series of simple math questions. Every one he gets wrong, he is lowered closer to the lava. Funny how that happens even though we can see Sonic's thought process. Things are looking dire for our hero. Whoa! I wasn't expecting that. I know you're close to defeating your arch nemesis here, Eggman, but let's try to keep our cool here. The final question is this mess. I really don't know what he wants Sonic to do, since the problem already has the answer 0. Maybe he wants him to simplify the equation? Not that it matters, as I guess Sonic ran out of time to give his answer. Eggman needs an exorcist, as Sonic takes a lava bath, once again turning into a skeleton, and Eggman laughs over his victory. Skid over. What a wonderful little tune for all the kiddies. Let's move on. I'm gonna bunch up the next few from this group. You'll see why. This time around, the Sonic team finds themselves tied over a pool. I gotta admit, this shot is pretty unsettling, with the crew missing their eyelids and pupils. A parrot turns on a lever that slowly lowers the three into the pool. Each of them wake up and panic ensues. Oh good, more character deaths. It feels like a cruel joke at this point. So what's Sonic gonna do now that his friends are gone? I don't even know how to respond to that. Sonic somehow stops himself from lowering, then brings up the skeletal remains of his friends, all while doing some kind of necromancer shimmy. What was the point of that? Next up, Sonic and his pals are underwater. Does this scene look kind of familiar? It should, as it uses the same animations as the previous short, only with a different environment. At least here, Sonic's dead friends join him in his little shimmy, somehow wearing different shoes than they had. Can you guess what the next short involves? What? The Sonic crew tied up in a dangerous situation? No way! The creativity of this channel truly knows no bounds. This time they're tied up to rockets. I gotta admit, I appreciate this bit where Tails tries to blow out the flame. Sometimes, it's the little details that makes animation fun. As panic ensues, Sonic wakes up then uses Rain Dance. It kills the flames, thus saving his friends. An actual good ending. After all we've seen, I've had my doubts. Well, they're not bound here. The premise is still the same in this short, so I'll add it here. The trio find themselves surrounded in lava. A killer whale that lives in lava for some reason nabs Tails, then awkwardly clips through Knuckles. Luckily, Tails drinks a potion and returns to save his friends. And hey, his tails are actually rotating. Still janky, and I just noticed that he only has one tail. How does that happen? It's literally his namesake. Sonic and Tails then dance without Knuckles. What a fun little adventure. We're down to our last group, everyone. You're all real troopers for sticking by this far, but I think this might be the tap-out point. The very last group is what I like to call the I'm Stuck series. I'm going to let you decide whether or not these are worse than the tied-up group. We start off with Amy plowing some land, and really getting into it. Funny to see this short being one of the few where we actually see some Minecraft mechanics. Anyway, she ends up throwing her hoe over the fence. No doubt some of you are going to know what happens next. Not only did they steal the fence gag from Last Block Studio, they also stole the voice clip. Anyway, Sonic, not Steve, answers the call.
Really?
I didn't cut off the short like that. Sonic scolds Amy, not Alex, then the skit just abruptly ends. I hope you're a big fan of the Alex is Stuck video, because that's the bread and butter of this group. This next clip gets right into the action, as Sonic slams Amy's face into a cake, just like the prankster gangster he is. He hands her some balloons that make her float, for a really long, awkward amount of time. Eventually, she comes down, and Sonic has more balloons for her. Considering what Sonic did a second ago, you know that Amy will get stuck in the fence. Somehow on the opposite side of where she was, Sonic gets a little creepy, then kicks Amy free. After that, he flaps his arms and flies off. They really gave up on this one. Next. In here, Amy finds a Nintendo Joy-Con just lying by itself and picks it up. It's apparently a magical Joy-Con, as she uses it to shrink a sheep and make it sound like Shrek for some reason. Next, she uses it to teleport right into a fence. Just accept it at this point. We got a few more like this. At least the sheep gets its retribution. So Sonic walks by, finds Amy, then once again kicks her free. To think they could have made a more interesting short with a magical Joy-Con, but I suppose that would have taken too much effort. Next. Looks like Tails isn't safe from this awfulness, as he finds a cake in a house with only a trapdoor as an entrance. Now this might be a shock to you, but as Tails crawls through, the trapdoor shuts, trapping him. Hey, at least it was an offense this time. Sonic enters the scene and looks like he's gonna help Tails, but instead he leaves his friend stuck as he goes around to eat the cake. What a pal. So here we are, the last short of this video, and it is the absolute worst. Brace yourself. Tails is peacefully reading a book while janky Eggman creepily ogles him from a distance.
Nice.
Alright, that was creepy. Soon enough, Eggman gets a wolf to scare Tails. Of course Tails can fly out of danger. Ha, just kidding. He runs and Eggman makes him trip, getting him stuck in the fence. Because why not? Even worse, Eggman seems to have bad intentions. I'm actually disgusted by this. Luckily, Sonic is able to intervene just in time.
Steve, you've gotta help me. I'm stuck.
Now don't give us that look, Sonic. We're just watching this crap. The last thing I thought I'd see in a Sonic Minecraft video was SA, but there you go. So there you have it. That's all this video has to offer. Doesn't really sound like an hour's time to view, right? Well, that's because it isn't. In fact, most of the shorts are repeated throughout the video just to make the hour mark. This is true for every video on this channel, by the way. The same crap, copy and pasted, maybe jumbled around for good measure. So why does the channel do this? Most of the videos have low views, and the comments are non-existent, despite all the bait for engagement. So what's the point of uploading repetitive crap with no hope of real growth? My guess is they're purely here for ad revenue. Each video is an hour long, leading to plenty of commercial breaks. And since their videos are just the same skits played ad nauseum, they can benefit from any views without having to create more content. And as long as they get those views, they'll continue to spew out the recycled crap. You could bet Amy's butt on that. So, a bit of an update before we wrap things up. I decided to check out the channel recently, only to find most of their video catalog gone. It seems like YouTube has finally done due diligence and had the bad thumbnail videos removed, at least the ones with Amy's butt. Good on them to do the bare minimum. Unfortunately, it looks like the channel hasn't taken the hint and is still uploading with Amy-focused thumbnails. Hopefully this defiance will lead to the downfall of the channel, but only time will tell. And that's the end, folks. Thanks for making it to the end of whatever this video is supposed to be. I gotta admit, it was pretty fun putting it all together, though working with my own voice was a bit jarring. I know talking about this channel is some low-hanging fruit, but I figured it'd be a good start to exercise my commentary prowess. If you agree, give this video a like, and maybe consider subscribing, as I might make more videos, much like this one or otherwise. Until next time, I'm the FedoraMask, and I tip my fedora to you.